Hey, you guys.
Hey, everybody.
Tonight we're going to be talking about the 5 fundamentals of business that you must have for success.
Yes.
And we're going to have a little discussion because if you're finding yourself struggling to get comments, likes, or shares, if you're struggling with hearing crickets on your Facebook Lives, you're not reaching the people that are interested in buying your product or joining your team, it might be because you may need to revisit these 5 fundamentals of business that we're going to talk about tonight.
You guys, if we have not met before, my name is Tim Graff.
And I am Becky Graff.
And we help home business entrepreneurs leverage powerful online strategies to create the perfect lifestyle business.
Yes. And right now, you guys, there's a lot of buzz about online, building a business online. How can I leverage that? Maybe you're in a position that you cannot do home parties anymore. And so you're kind of stepping into this new realm, potentially, that is a little bit different. And maybe you're curious about how come you need to do certain things and how certain things that you might have been doing have not been as effective for you moving forward. So we're just going to kind of talk about this because I had a conversation over the weekend with a very successful marketer who was working on a new offer for his audience. He asked my opinion on some things, asked what I thought. And as I had this conversation with him back and forth, the thing that kept coming up for me was, this is an amazing offer. A lot of people can get a ton of value from this. However, a couple of questions I had that were not defined yet for him was, number one, who was his target market and what niche specifically was he going to be targeting? Okay, because these are some high-end coaching courses about funnels and things like that that are a little bit more advanced. And so I was curious what that might be for him, who he's going to target and what kind of process he was going to be going through. Okay, because here's the thing. It doesn't matter where you're starting at, if you're brand new or if you're highly advanced, these 5 fundamentals that we're going to be talking about are essential if you want to have success in your business.
Well, and especially if you are a marketer or you've been doing your business for quite some time, okay, a lot of times we're past this step, right? We're a little further into our business. And so we kind of forget that, oh, hey, I got to keep in mind those fundamental building blocks of doing a business. Okay, because just like this gentleman that she was having a conversation with, he's a very seasoned marketer. He's been doing this for so long that it was kind of like oh yeah, I completely forgot about those first fundamental, those foundational pieces off the bat. Like it just, sometimes we forget about that and we need to revisit it.
Yes, because again, it doesn't matter if you're just starting out or if you've been doing this for years. If you have an idea, if you have something you want to market, if you're attempting to reach a specific audience, first, you've got to determine who that target audience is, right? You've got to know who you're talking to. You got to see if what you're offering is even a fit. Because if I was attempting to sell hot dogs to a vegan, how well is my message going to be received?
Exactly.
Okay. They're like, no, thank you. I don't.
Yeah, not interested.
I don't want that, right? Okay, so regardless of how great your idea may be or how amazing your product or your opportunity may be, if you're not talking to your target market, if you haven't defined that first off, and if you're not speaking to them, your message can be gold, but it's still not going to perform and you're not going to get the results you're looking for because they're not going to have a match there.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how great your message is, how great your product is, whatever it is you're attempting to talk to them about. It doesn't matter how great it is. You can have the best speech in the world. If it's not something they're interested in, it's going to fall on deaf ears.
And to that point, a lot of times in our industry, we hear you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. Okay. You've got to be able to find and speak to the right people for that message to make sense.
Exactly.
Okay. And here's the thing. A lot of times when we're struggling, or not just struggling, but when we're attempting to get to that next level in our business, we're wanting to see a little bit more, or we're not getting the results, a lot of times, I'm curious how many of you guys can relate to this, find ourselves distracted by shiny objects. We're like, oh, what I just tried this one time didn't work, so I need something completely different. Okay, let me know if that's you, if you've ever been there, because I can say that Tim and I, when we got started, we had shiny object syndrome. It's like, oh, we tried that for like 3 days and it didn't work, so on to something else. Okay, what we fail to realize is it takes a little bit more than just a one and done. Okay, it takes practice to develop these skill sets. Okay, and a lot of times you can find yourself in trouble if you're taking that approach of I did it once, I did it twice, I did it 3 times, it didn't work, or I didn't get my ultimate result, and so I need something completely different. Throwing the baby out with the bathwater is not an effective process when you're developing business skill sets, okay? And that's what we're talking about, the fundamentals of having a business, not a hobby, okay, not a side hustle, but something that is actually legitimately going to allow you to create the life that you're looking for. Okay?
And there's also some studies out there where it's been proven that most people try something the exact number is 1.2 times.
Not even twice.
Okay, not even twice. Okay, but there are some out there that will at least give it, a little bit more effort than once. Okay, but it's said, and there's been studies done, that it's only 1.2 times is the average that most people attempt something. So they give it one shot and then it's like, well, that didn't work. So on to the next. And the thing that they have to understand is it takes more than just a one and done, like Becky mentioned just a minute ago.
Yeah, because as entrepreneurs, you guys, we're always going to have obstacles. There's always going to be a new thing to overcome. Maybe it's your message to your markets falling a little bit flat. Maybe you have got an amazing team, but now you're looking for more automation. Okay, there's all sorts of different obstacles. Maybe for you right now, you're struggling on finding that balance between how much do I have to actually work my business right now versus taking care of, home responsibilities. Okay, or maybe you're finding yourself having more time to actually work, but you're confused about what it is specifically to work on. Both of those are obstacles. Like what I mentioned, those are all obstacles for us in different ways. And so how you show up is actually going to determine what your results look like.
Exactly.
Whenever you're faced with those things. Okay?
Yes. Yeah.
So here's the thing. You can either get derailed and sidetracked and say what I was doing that one time, 1.2 time didn't work. So I need to find something completely different. Okay. We can get distracted, get derailed, and you're going to end up feeling potentially lost, hopeless, and frustrated because your one singular idea didn't work. Okay. The thing that you've been doing for months hasn't been working. So, it just doesn't work. This isn't going to work for me. How many of you guys can relate to that and have ever felt that way? Felt that frustration and a little bit of despair that I've been doing the things, but I'm really not getting the results that I thought that I would by this point in my business. Okay. Let me know if that's been you. Okay. Because a lot of times that is what derails us and it gets us sidetracked. Okay. Down into that judgment loop about I've been doing it. Nothing's changed. It must not work for me. So this is where you get to step up and be an entrepreneur, you guys. Okay. You have a choice. Stay frustrated, stuck, and allow yourself to kind of get derailed, or you can pivot and get a little bit curious about how you might do things a little bit differently. Okay, we're not talking like black and white differently. Maybe in some cases for you, that needs to be black and white differently. But typically, it's just a little bit of a shift, a little bit of a change that allows you to see things from a different perspective.
And she said a key word there just a minute ago. It's curiosity. Okay. And the most important piece here is we want to stay curious. Okay. Because if you stay in a curious frame of mind, then you will keep moving forward. You'll keep that entrepreneurial spirit, if you will, alive in what it is you're doing. Okay. And you're asking, and when you're in curious, it's not really possible to be in a curious frame of mind without asking yourself some questions.
And this directly relates to the 5 fundamentals that we're talking about for business.
Yes.
You guys, to have a successful business, you have to be curious. You have to have a level of going on in your brain at all times. Okay. And this is the interesting thing is when you're finding yourself stuck and you're finding yourself at that place where, oh my gosh, things are not moving necessarily smoothly as I want. Okay. The new tactic or strategy is simply an addition to some fundamentals. Okay. And so we're going to get to those here in just a second. But consider if what you're doing right now, your current strategy or tactic's not working for you. Okay. How might you look at it from a different angle with curiosity? Okay, a new set of eyes, different perspective moving forward. Because as an entrepreneur, as you continue to grow and progress, you are going to see and view things differently each step of your journey. The way that Tim and I look at marketing now versus 2 years ago is completely different.
And a lot of times I go back to the fundamental skill sets that we learned forever ago, just to simply see it from the perspective that I have now. Because the funny thing is every time we revisit that, I learn something new. Like I went through this the first time, but oh my gosh, I didn't even see that. Or now it means something completely different to me based on what I know now. So every time you revisit those fundamental foundational skills, you will learn something new, or you'll see it with the new fresh pair of eyes that you might not have seen it before, knowing what you know now further down the road.
And here's the thing though, the fundamentals will always be the fundamentals. Just like building a house, you have to start with the footings before you can start to build and add on those. As you're developing a business, okay, as you become a business owner, as you're an entrepreneur, there's fundamental skill sets that you must have in place. to be able to have success.
Yep.
Okay. And if you don't start at the fundamentals and develop those skill sets first, it's much like building a house without attaching the walls to the foundation. It's not going to last very long. You're going to start to see, find yourself struggling a lot more than you might have otherwise, because you haven't taken the time to develop and consider what those fundamentals are. Okay?
Exactly. Yeah.
So here's the thing, you guys, just like any business, marketing requires practice.
Yep.
Okay. It doesn't matter if you're partnered with a company, doesn't matter if you're doing direct sales, does not matter if you're doing any other type of marketing. Okay. Any business requires that. Just like an athlete, a nurse, a lawyer, a doctor. Okay. You're only
Practice
skilled.
makes perfect, right?
You're only as skilled as the level of effort, can't say the word, effort that you put into practicing your craft. Okay, you've got to have intention and effort behind it. If
and
you
actually doing the action is what helps to perfect that skill as well. Okay,
Yes.
Just thinking about it or reading a book about it a few times is great.
That's great information.
It's great information, but actually taking that action and doing that skill repeatedly,
Yes.
that is what really perfects that skill.
Yes. Okay. And here's the thing, you guys. The 5 fundamentals that we're going to talk about tonight is number 1, you got to know who your target market is.
Yes.
Okay. If you don't know who you're speaking to, your message doesn't matter.
Yep.
Okay. If you don't know what it is you're attempting to share with them, doesn't matter, because it's not going to hit home. It's not going to connect with them in a way that's going to compel them to take action.
Exactly.
Okay. And number 2, you guys, is you need to actually know where your customers and your prospects are.
Yep.
Okay. Specifically, as we're talking online, where are some of those places that they might hang out?
Yep.
Okay. I'm curious. Let me know in the comments. Where might they hang out? Because everybody right now can't go in and hang out at a coffee shop and wait for people to come in.
Those home meetings where you invited people to your home, you talk to those people, you gotta, okay, yeah, sure, I'll come check it out. And they showed up. That doesn't necessarily work right now, okay? Because we are
right now,
yeah,
it doesn't
right
work.
now. Well, yes.
Right now, it does not work. Okay. That is not something that
It's
you
not
can
something
do.
that's going to happen. Exactly.
And we don't know how long it might be before that happens again. So for you right now in your business, if that was a huge piece where you had your partners bring a bunch of people to your house, okay, what does that look like now?
Exactly.
And maybe you've been doing online parties. Okay. So again, where are your prospects and customers hanging out? Where are you finding these people?
What platforms, what groups? I mean, there's plenty of different places online, and you got to ask yourself, based on who that target market is, who that target person is, where are they hanging out? What kind of groups are they in? What kind of pages are they following? Where are they?
Yep.
And then you can structure your content around those, and you can go into those specific places to be able to connect and to reach out to those people.
Yeah, so to be able to connect, you guys, leads us into the 3rd fundamental of any business, is you've got to know what the pains, hopes, dreams, and desires of your target market are.
Yep.
Okay. Again, if I am attempting to sell hot dogs, I am not going to go talk to a vegan about how they can get this 1/4 pound juicy hot dog, okay, with all the condiments and delivered to their door without having to go out of their house, okay, DoorDash delivery, okay, cannot have that messaging because their pains, hopes, dreams, and desires
aren't even
match
exactly
what it is that I'm offering at all.
She wants to be placed in front of somebody who is like,
I want a carnivore, right?
Exactly.
I want
someone with
who
a big hot dog with lots of mustard. That's who I want to be.
Who's got a major, who has a major craving for that.
Yep.
Okay, because maybe they can't leave their house, they're quarantined, and they want that perfect chili dog delivered to their door within 5 minutes to satisfy their need. Okay, they're craving. Maybe they are missing going to the ball game right now, and so the idea of having that hot dog for them, where they can't watch the sports right now as they're watching reruns, that is what's going to make that memorable for them. Okay. Do you see the difference in being able to identify what some pains, hopes, dreams, and desires for a audience might be, and how your messaging may or may not relate to them?
And then this just simply takes a little bit of research. Just simply takes a little bit of sitting down and going, okay, this is my perfect person. What might they be dealing with right now?
Yes.
What are the pains? What are their dreams? What are their desires? And kind of circle your messaging around that.
Yes. And then that leads into, okay, we know who our target market is.
Yep.
Right. We know how to reach them. We know where they're hanging out. We know what they're struggling with right now or what they're dreaming about. Okay. So number 4 is, now what is my strategy?
Yep.
how am I going to reach these people?
How often are you putting yourself in front of these people? How often are you reaching out? What does your strategy look like?
Yep. Are you doing Facebook Lives? Are you doing long form posts? Are you doing emails? Are you running advertising, paid advertising? Are you looking for more of an organic strategy? Okay. What does that look like for you? And how are you positioning your offer to these people now that you know who they are, what they're struggling with, where they're hanging out?
Especially now that we're online, what is that strategy? If you weren't using an online strategy before, okay, what does that look like now from an online perspective?
And then number 5, you guys, is what makes you different?
Yes.
You've got to identify what makes you different than every other person who's on social media attempting to build their business.
And there are a lot of people who just now, if they weren't online before, they are now. Okay, so it's a question of what makes you different from everybody else that's out there attempting to build their business and attempting to move forward. Okay, what makes you stand out online and different from everybody else out there that is going to be a message that speaks to that perfect prospect that you want to attract?
Yes.
What is going to make that person, as they're on Facebook and they're scrolling through their feed, what is going to make them suddenly go, hey, that caught my eye. That's somebody I am interested in connecting with or checking out whatever they have to offer. What makes you unique?
And this, you guys can delve back into who you are as a person and what your personal brand is. Okay. And if you're not clear on what a personal brand is, stay tuned. That's something that we'll be covering in some of our upcoming live trainings. And we've actually covered in some previous. So if you haven't watched those, go back and check those out.
Absolutely.
Okay. So here's the thing. Those are the 5 fundamentals of business that you must have to have success. You've got to know who your target market is. You need to know where to reach them. Okay. You need to know what it is they're struggling with and what their hopes, dreams, and desires
so that you can target your message around it.
You've got to have a strategy that's not just an idea in your head, but it is actually physically mapped out somewhere so that you can follow it, so that you can evaluate what's working and
so
what's
that
not
you
working.
Can be consistent with it.
Yes. Okay. And then you also need to determine for yourself what makes you different. How come you're going to stand out and against everybody else? Okay. What are those factors that make you different? Okay. And again, that takes a little bit of time, a little brain power. But after you figured out 1 through 5, you need to do what? Take action.
Exactly.
Okay? Interact with your audience in your personal profile, in your groups, part of your fan page. If you've got a fan page, all of these things are part of your ecosystem. And remember, above all, that you are actually part of the algorithm too. Okay. So if you're worried about organic reach, I'm not getting enough reach, people aren't seeing my posts, consider, how are you showing up?
It may simply be that you're just not being consistent on these platforms wherever you are, okay, with your emails, your Facebook Lives, posts, whatever that looks like. Maybe you're not being consistent. And so the algorithm is not showing you to those people because you're not consistently showing up. So it's important to figure out where you are, what platforms you're showing up on, and then be consistent with it, like I mentioned a minute ago.
So again, if you're not getting much interaction on your Facebook post, if you're finding yourself struggling to get people in your lives, ask yourself if your message is actually reaching the audience that you want. If it's not, then go through steps 1 through 5 that we just defined, evaluate where the gap is maybe for you, and then pivot. Okay. And if you're dialed in and things are good and you're like, no, my audience and everything's on point, consider, okay, what might you do a little bit differently? All right, you guys, we appreciate you spending so much time of your evening with us today. Appreciate the hearts and loves coming through. All you guys out there in Facebook land. Our comments are not working today, so look forward to going back through and seeing what you were posting. I know that you guys have been watching, but appreciate the hearts and loves that have been coming through. You guys, tomorrow, make sure you join us because we're going to talk about if you're finding yourself in a mental slump. Okay, if you're finding yourself just a little bit drained, what you might do about that. Okay, we're going to be talking about the one thing you can do to boost your energy. Okay, and also give you instant strength. So that's what we're going to be covering tomorrow, and how that relates to you in your business. So make sure that you join us for that tomorrow.
Absolutely. You guys, again, we appreciate you. You guys be curious, be bold, take action, and remember that it is choice, not chance, that shapes your life.
Take care.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.